Welcome to Inside Games, the only gaming news show that's brave enough to leak the entire episode right in the intro.
That's right, and just like Sony, we're giving it all to you with the convenience of the cloud.
Oh.
You don't have to wait for your weekly VHS of Inside Games.
And heck, as long as we're following Sony's example, we may as well misquote someone so badly that we have to pull the entire episode.
All right, let me give it a shot here. Quote, I love AI and I can't wait for it to replace all of YouTube. Brian Gaar.
Misquote. I would never say that.
All right, pull it. Delete the episode.
Oh man, retraction. Sony really stepped in it this week, pushing Xbox out of the headlines for once. We've also got a surge of Fallout 76 players in a daring video game heist, all on this week's Inside Games Roundup.
Right, so let's get that old stone rolling downhill with one of the most massive leaks in recent gaming history. Brian, tell us where those wizards finally came from.
That wizard came from the moon.
It has been a week for Sony, to say the least. Some good. They had their State of Play presentation. We got to see upcoming stuff like Monster Hunter Wilds, a new Astrobot game, the Silent Hill 2 remake, God of War Ragnarok coming to PC. You will need a PSN ID for it, though, and lots more. So it started off with a bang, and then Sony managed to overshadow all of that by accidentally leaking the upcoming DLC for Destiny 2 online, causing major story spoilers and just stunning the fans.
Well, that's why they bought them, so they could leak it. The Destiny 2 subreddit noticed that if you tried the streaming option on the PlayStation 5, the entire DLC called The Final Shape was accessible.
What is the final shape, though? I haven't figured it out.
Circle.
Well, I'm Sphere?
I don't know.
Anyway. Oh, we already have one of those. I don't know where I'm going with that. User Cupcake of Doom posted a few screenshots and wrote, crazy, it's just out there to jump into early. We agree.
Yeah, the content became available after some scheduled maintenance on Thursday, and of course, a lot of spoilers about the story, the raids, trophies, loot, and more posted online. Apparently, it's an inside joke at Bungie, like, when is Sony gonna leak whatever we post next? So I think this has happened before.
Another player, Sorikaz, warned other players to avoid spoilers, writing on Reddit, the entire DLC is playable right now. If you don't want spoilers, now's your chance to bail out of the sub. Off X, off everything.
Just generally good life advice regardless, but yeah. The content was eventually taken offline. You'd hope so. Bungie released a statement acknowledging the leaks, saying that a small group of players were able to access the campaign, collections, echoes, and other reward info.
The DLC is due to release for real on Tuesday. I was going to put it in the coming soon, but this is just a big coming soon plug for it, I guess.
Theoretically, this is the expansion where Bungie has to regain their clout, not only with the fan base, but with Sony, because they have to kind of bring Destiny numbers back up. So I'm curious how hard they're going to try. And I hope they try really hard, just for my sake. That's my selfish wish.
The final shape is money.
An S with 2 lines through it?
Yeah.
Okay, but we're not done, because speaking of Sony stepping on its own dick, it also made headlines for misquoting Neil Druckmann in an interview that Sony conducted with Neil Druckmann. They controlled all of this.
Sony interviewed the CEO of Naughty Dog for a post on its own site, the famous PlayStation blog. It was one of those in-house pieces where the interviewer typically lobs up a bunch of softballs and the interviewee dutifully answers with long flowing prose about artistry and how technology is going to lead to a bunch of wonderful... We've all been here before.
Yeah, but in the story, Sony apparently doesn't know how to do interviews, and Sony paraphrased Druckmann as saying Naughty Dog's next game, quote, could redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming.
Yeah, and then Neil took to social media to say, I didn't say that. He posted a screenshot of his unedited answer, writing, in editing my rambling answers in my recent interview with Sony, some of my words, context, and intent were unfortunately lost. I read the unedited answer. I don't blame Sony for trying to paraphrase him, because it was a lot. But yeah, they went way over what they should have done.
Are you telling me the creative director of The Last of Us used more words than he needed to? That's a little journalism salt. We need to condense, right? We're all about brevity.
That's right.
You wouldn't know it with some Inside Games videos. But anyway. So yeah, we're in this fun situation where Sony has actually misquoted their own employee that in an article that they themselves wrote, or their own blog to promote their own product. So that's cool.
Sony eventually removed the interview and apologized to Neil Druckmann, writing, quote, "We have found several significant errors and inaccuracies that don't represent his perspective and values, including topics such as animation, writing, technology, AI, and future projects, and literally everything
That's a lot of topics. That's almost all of them.
That's a $5 correction. They also added, "We apologize to Neil for misrepresenting his words and for any negative impact this interview might have caused him and his team." So one Sony employee this week misquoted the CEO of their biggest studio, and another accidentally just leaked Destiny online. So some real good performance evaluations on Monday, I think.
I can only give you a satisfactory. All right, on to the next story. Fallout 76 is riding a pretty huge swell right now. It passed 20 million players, and naturally Bethesda is going to follow up on that success with more games.
So yeah, Fallout 76 obviously has seen a giant jump in interest since the show. Bethesda announced that 20 million players have played the game since its November 2018 launch. For comparison, in late 2022, the game had hit 13.5 million players. So the show added a ton of new people, me being one of them.
Yeah, I reinstalled. I haven't played it yet, but I did reinstall, so that's something.
Oh, wow, good for you.
Director and executive producer Todd Howard told Variety in a recent interview that Fallout 76 has been kind of sneaky popular for a while, but not to this level, and it's just been really great for the whole studio.
Overall, he said that every game in the franchise has been seeing more players, saying depending on the Fallout game, you're looking at a 4 to 6 times increase in daily players, which is beyond anything I've ever seen in my 30 years of doing this.
Yeah, it's true. As for more Fallout titles, Todd Howard said, quote, "We're in plans for future games in this series and nothing to talk about right now, but we're always planning." Todd, get to planning already. Todd, we need another Fallout.
If they actually had a product ready to go, how much money? I mean, Bethesda's not that agile, and I think we've seen that lately. They're actually, I think, facing some logistic problems, but gosh, it's the setup. I mean, you can't plan for the show being good. You just produce and hope. But yeah, it's kind of baffling that they didn't have something for people to buy on their way through the gift shop out of that show.
If they had Fallout 5 right now, it would do Animal Crossing during COVID numbers. I feel like but maybe, I mean, if I were them, I mean, I'm no expert, but put everybody on a Fallout game right now, time it to season 2. You've got, you're at, I don't know. I'm just dropping gems here for y'all.
Well, Brian, I've heard the rumor is they're going to do a remake for season 2. So it's either going to be Fallout 3 or New Vegas or whatever for a remake. Yeah.
Before you get your hopes up, whoever's hearing that, remember that Bethesda's the one doing it. So a remake of a Bethesda game will probably land at like circa 2011 when it relaunches.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point.
Speaking of missing out on a jackpot, this is a real interesting story. $400,000 worth of consoles apparently just disappeared from in front of a restaurant of all places. This is a really interesting story. Ryan, tell us about this.
Yeah, so it's strange. Earlier this year, I don't know if y'all have heard of the Playdate, the handheld console. It's the little yellow one. It's got the crank on the side. So the company that makes it, Panic, they revealed that a shipment containing $400,000 worth of the handhelds was stolen in Las Vegas.
That's crazy. Speaking at GDC, Panic co-founder Cable Sasser called it a bit of a true crime drama after pallets containing the consoles went missing.
But the plot thickens. Fast forward to this weekend, they're back.
Oh.
Yeah, according to Panic, somebody just dumped the stolen consoles outside a random restaurant in Las Vegas. They just popped up outside this.
They felt bad, I guess. They posted pictures of several boxes left on a sidewalk and wrote that the Playdates were apparently misdelivered by FedEx to a construction site near Panic's warehouse and then were subsequently swiped.
Okay. I guess all is well that ends well here. Panic said, "This was our best possible outcome, the results of lots of time and detective work." They added at the end, "The real question is, can we sell these as a limited edition?" I'm going to guess since somebody got them for free and decided to dump them on the sidewalk, the answer is probably no.
All right, time for a 5-second review. When did the original come out?
2004.
I feel like I did play this in 2004, but I was just obsessed with Final Fantasy XI, so I was just in MMO hell at that point. So it was a dark time in my life, honestly.
Is that the 5-second review, Brian?
That's it. That's all I got. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the upcoming games for this week. First, Arhaken. Is that how you say it? Archon? Become an Archon, recover lost treasures and knowledge, bleed your minions and forge them into something more. Rebuild what has fallen into decay and lay waste to the abominations holding the world captive in our tactical turn-based dungeon crawler that you can't pronounce. It comes out on PC June 4th.
I gotta pronounce it to enjoy it. But this is eminently pronounceable. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game. Who knew we'd get here, huh? Plan your own alien invasion and harvest humans as the iconic Killer Clowns. Or gather a team of survivors to fight the extraterrestrial threat in a game based on the 80s cult classic movie. Welcome to a new crazy take on the asymmetrical multiplayer horror experience. Killer Clowns from Outer Space the game comes to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on June 4th.
I can't believe they made a game out of that, but I guess I can. That's such...
Man, any brand that hasn't been taken yet.
And last but not least, Star Wars Hunters, and I really should have edited this entry more, but let's do it. Following the end of the Galactic Civil War, the bright lights of the arena burst into life and offer new heroes a platform to shine across the galaxy. Located deep in the outer realm on the planet of Vespara and broadcast far and wide on the HoloNet, the stories and legends of battles that have defined galactic history are brought to life to entertain audiences and create champions seeking fame and fortune in this new gladiatorial spectacle. Gear up for battle, choose from a roster of new characters, including nefarious bounty hunters, heroes of the rebellion, Imperial stormtroopers, and everything in between. Outclass opponents by mastering advanced abilities, skills, and strategies while fighting it out in intense 4v4, third-person combat, and dominating opponents on the road to fame in the arena. It comes to Switch and iOS and Android June 4th.
That's a lot of words for a mobile game.
It's so not worth it. It's so not worth that read.
As we wrap up here, I just want to shout out a handful of patrons. We have a Patreon that helps fund productions like this and helps keep Brian away from having AI nipping at his heels. And that's all because of you. So thank you very much. And we have a few patrons I want to shout out specifically because they are guilty of 34 counts of extreme generosity. Brandon Young, Matt Bogenberger, and Greg Wolf. Thank you for being convicted patrons of Inside Games.
Woo!
All right, perfect. It was a good time to cough.
Perfect time for a coughing fit.
That was the end of the episode.